Hey, I'm in frame this time. Last time I was like off here somewhere. No, wait, over this side. And I was like, oh, I quickly rearranged my camera. Still kind of off to the side. Here we are. Yay, we're professionals. Episode 19, are we? Yes. Wow, that's the ripe age. I like that. To be 19
half
again.
your age plus 7, Chunt. Half your age plus 7. That's the rule.
Plus 7.
I'm sorry, I should have made you do maths this early in the morning.
Yeah, it's way too early for math. So I say to my team leader at work, I'm an artist, not a mathematician.
22. 22 for me. So Chunt, 26 for you. 23, 25 for you. You 3 years older than me?
That's not bad. Yeah, I'm 34. That's not too bad.
I'm 30. So yeah, it would have been 26 for you is the answer to that question.
Yeah. You'd think at some point around that time they'll have their head together. And
sometimes you don't want to have their head together.
Yeah, that's true.
Depends on the night you want.
Yes.
Anyway, this is games. We talk games.
Oh yeah, well, life is a game, you know. So yes, as usual.
Play it.
Oh, it's brutal. It's a brutal game. Need cheats. To my left or your left is Dan, and to your right is Jamie. And today I am your host, Uncle Chunt. Boys, how are we? It's been 5 minutes since some of us have been awake. How are you?
I've been awake for 14 hours and 5 minutes. So yeah.
Good innings. Very good.
Zones.
And Dan?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm probably a little more awake than you, even though you're the one that drinks coffee. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, look, this is all an act and a facade. You know, positive feelings and all that. I'm surprised you're even here because you've got Ghost of Tsushima going, don't you? We just head straight into our what have we been playing?
Yeah, well, I have been. I'm 8 hours in. I finished at 5:30.
Holy shit!
Work at 5:30. 5 o'clock. Start at 5:30 and played till 1:30 in the morning. So I'll probably talk about it more next week. Hopefully I'll be done. Should be done by next week, so I can talk about the whole thing. But I'm having a really good time. The combat feels familiar to other games, but it has its own spin on it, which is making it very addicting and making me want to go and enter any fight, knowing that I could probably lose any fight. But when you win, you just feel like a badass. And I've been taking little screenshots on and putting them up on Twitter.
Yes, I've noticed.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I haven't been able to do that since I think Horizon was the last one I really got stuck into. So that's fun. But early in the week, I think last week I mentioned that I was playing GTA 3 because I had to kill some time.
Yes.
I jumped back on GTA 3 and I jumped in a taxi. I'm not sure if you guys used to do this. I would jump in the taxi and just do the dropping people off and everything. I did 65 in a row and then I started and then I failed.
65?
Yeah, 65. So that got me a lot of money, but then I was like, all right, I'm turning this off now. This was basically a week of me trying to waste time until Ghost came because I couldn't get invested into anything. So I just needed to do something. So then after that, I started 2K and I created an all Australian team. So I'd only draft people from Australia and I had Australian boomers outfits or whatever. So then I created an all Australian team. And then I started NAC because it turns out I own NAC. So it must have been from something. And I was like, well, I'm doing this feature at the end of the year with, my favorite first party exclusive game stuff. And I was like, well, I've got NAC. I might as well play it. NAC is competent, but like, it's not as bad as everyone says, but there's nothing special, especially after having played like Ratchet, which is meant to be the same type of like family friendly type feeling game. The thing is with Knack, there's no depth to it. Like you don't upgrade anything. It's the same. Oh, sorry, you do upgrade everything, but only upgraded one thing over the entire course of the game because it's based on you finding secret areas and collecting the stuff. And then once you've collected all the parts, you get an upgrade. And I only got one upgrade. So you are doing the same thing with no modifiers to it at all. And the game is so long. I didn't realize how long the game would be. Like if I asked you guys, how long do you think Knack is? How many hours do you think it would be?
6. 8.
Yeah, 6, 8. Yeah.
It's that long that you've forgotten how to talk. And your microphone stopped working. On that cliff note, you can come back to us and tell us how long Knack is. And while you fix that, I'll tell you all about Assassin's Creed Odyssey because I've played a monkey fucks ton of that this week. That game it's got me by the balls now. I know I've mentioned over the last few weeks I'd started it, but man, the stuff that can happen in that world. Like I stood last night and watched a bounty hunter who was tracking me get attacked by a bear. And just stood and watched the fight play out, and the bear won. So I was like, I don't have to kill that mercenary anymore. It was absolutely fantastic. Like it's like just watching shit like that go on in the world, and the fact that it can go on in the world is awesome. I also tried to clean out like a target and 2 other. I'm assuming like they were mercenary bounty hunters coming after me, but they were affiliated with a different faction, so they started to attack the guy I was trying to attack as well, and then everybody was fighting each other. It was like a massive battle royale in the middle of this cave in the middle of buttfuck nowhere in Greece. And I was like, this is just stupid. Like the level of detail that it goes to is brilliant. It's having that Skyrim effect on me. And I'm not sure, Chunt, I know you've played a bit of Skyrim, but back in the day, I used to just get lost and get void from the main quest line because I kept getting distracted and going off in different directions and doing different shit. And that's happening to me with Odyssey. So it's the first time that's happened to me in a good while that I've had a game do that and really make me, question, wait a minute. I've spent a lot of time doing this. Should probably go back to the main story now. So I can see how people have spent hundreds of hours in this game and still not seen all of it. Greece is enormous. This game is absolutely massive. So yeah, having tons of fun playing that. I also checked out is it called Hyper Slice or some kind of stuff, the Ubisoft Battle Royale thing.
Ubisoft, yeah.
Do you know what? It plays really well for a first person Ubisoft game. The shooting's very competent. The hit detection and everything reminds me a lot of Apex Legends. And it's fun to play, but whilst it's fun to play, it's also just not got anything different. It's nothing new. It's no different take on this formula. It's boring, it's repetitive. I did it 2 or 3 times, and I checked out. I've still got it installed, but it's just okay. I mean, it's better than I was expecting, but it's not something that I can see myself throwing any dedicated amount of time into. And then I played some Ultimate Team in FIFA. Started building a squad in that, as I usually do towards the end of a football season, because why not? That's been my week in video games. So Chunt will maybe let you or should we let Dan finish his talk about Knack?
Dan's probably sitting there with blue balls. He wants to talk about
how long is Knack?
12 to 14 hours.
Oh wow, that's substantially long.
Like I think it's like 12, 13 chapters, and it just took forever. Anyway, that's enough out of me. I'm over it.
I'm glad you came back for that. That's great. Yeah.
It made you rage quit the podcast. It was that terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've just been I think I'm halfway through Titanfall. Titanfall 2, which has been very fun. I'm actually really enjoying it, and it's been great. Gave up on Witcher 3, as you know, and just jumped straight back in to Titanfall 2. It's not what I thought it was going to be, but as soon as you hit your mech, you're Titan, man, the game just opens up and becomes more. At first, I was like, "Oh, okay, it's gonna be mostly just out of the mech," which it was for the first couple of missions. But yeah, as soon as you hit your Titan, it's so good. Just power walking through everything and the fights that you have with other Titans and stuff. A lot of fun. God, that I can see why people are saying it was such an underrated game at the time, when it just came out and got destroyed and smothered by other things, which is a shame. I would love to see a Titanfall 3, and I'm only halfway through this one. So I'll see how this one ends. I'm going to finish it this weekend. And yep. But besides that, I actually played a bit of Marvel Ultimate Alliance last night. That old game on 360.
The first one.
Yeah, the first one. It arrived with a few games that I got yesterday. I picked them up at the post office, and that was one of them. And then I put it straight in because we used to play the shit out of that game, my brother and I. And yeah. And X-Men Legends was the other one. I tested that just to make sure that worked, and God, that brought back some memories. And yeah, so picking up a lot of these old games, which is probably going to lead into one of our topics today as well.
I've been playing 3 a bit, not anything substantial. Alliance 3 on the Switch. I think I'd mentioned it a few weeks back. Like that gameplay loop suits a handheld really well. You know, the kind of dungeon crawly, Diablo-y type of gameplay.
On the fence on that one. It just doesn't look the same. Like, it doesn't look like it'd be the same type of game. Like, it's different developers, obviously.
It plays exactly the same. I played Alliance 1 and 2, and this is literally more of the same. The art style is slightly different, but I think that's down to the fact that it's, you know, on a Switch and Switch only, but it's a good game.
That still boggles me. I don't know how that's a thing. That game should be on everything.
Nintendo gave them money to make the game.
Yeah, I don't like it, but whatever.
Unfortunate.
Well, yes. Well, we'll talk about something unfortunate, but it kind of leads into a positive light. We'll get this small bit of news out of the way first about some discontinued consoles and Xbox related. So those of us who have an Xbox One X, you're lucky because those are discontinued now. And the Xbox One S all digital edition, the sad. Well, people are very sad about this. Not really.
But I bet you I can still buy either of them.
Yeah.
There's going to be stock for days.
Yeah. Like if you go on the actual Microsoft website, it either says low stock or out of stock on a number of these devices. But yeah, they're going to be there. They're just going to be discontinued. No more making things. Clearly, because of the impending Series X launch. Well, welcome back. Technical difficulties and all. Discord, you son of a bitch. You killed our flow completely. I am now Dan for the rest of this episode. And it's an honor, I'll say, to wear that title. And equally so, Dan should be immensely thrilled and honored to be me.
I don't want this podcast to ever stop. This is where I want to be.
I bet it is.
Yeah, within exactly 13 minutes of recording, guys, I think that's where the timestamp was. We have Dan's audio drop out completely. Discord shit its pants. We then tried Skype, which wouldn't let me do something. Oh no, Chunk couldn't hear through Skype. Facebook Messenger wouldn't let us record video because it needed access to all of my input devices, which are currently running through Streamlabs. And now you two have just got to, just sit on different seats, and mine hasn't changed. Although your two's camera quality is bad compared to what it was. But it is what it is.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
But thank you for bearing with the technical problems. Anyway, enough ramble about issues for a minute and 20. We were supposed to be bringing the positivity today. So Chunt, Xbox, where were you?
So, well, this is a positive.
Positivity. Discontinued some consoles.
We're talking about consoles being discontinued here, and why we're surprised the Xbox One S model is still the one that's going to be the baseline one in production over the One X. I don't know. I don't understand what that is. I think it might have something to do with whatever the secondary Series S model, whatever, is coming out, and they don't want to confuse the issue with the Series X line, with the 1X and all that kind of shit in there. I don't know. I have zero want for a 1S, obviously, because I have an X and I'll just be keeping that one. But yeah, it's just interesting to know that that's the route they're going, discontinuing the 1X and the all digital edition. So yeah, that's that basically. I don't know what your thoughts are. I think it's because the secondary Series X complementary console, whatever they're going to bring out, the Lockhart or whatever they're saying it is, will be more styled in line with the Series X, and they want to get rid of the 1X, maybe for production reasons. I don't know.
Yeah, Lockhart, I think we've discussed at length. It's probably going to sit somewhere with the computing power and the kind of a lot of the features of the Series X, but probably the graphical prowess of the 1X, or something thereabouts. So it makes sense that's the one you shit can and then keep the Series S as the baseline. I have nothing else to add on that. Sad day, I guess. It's a beautiful console and it's discontinued, but we're getting something more beautiful later this year. So,
based on what you said, Chunt, that actually probably makes me think that whatever Lockhart is going to be called is not going to be called Series S in my mind. Because, like you said, they're trying to avoid confusion, but then why have an Xbox One S out there available and then have a Series S? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if they've discontinued the Xbox One X, unless the Xbox One X just is not selling as much as the One S, like everyone is just rather like not bothering and getting the expensive version of the current consoles, that they're getting that they figured that's just going to be the cheapo version for the next 2 years, and then bring out the new stuff. But I don't know when what year was Xbox One X released? 2017, 18,
around 2016, 17. I'm pretty sure around that time. It hasn't been long. It's only been a few years.
That's a short time frame.
Yeah,
for a console.
3 or 4 years. I'm pretty sure. But look, I think everybody that's got one is already there. Everybody that wanted one has probably got one by now. And everybody probably traded in their massive VCR Xbox One for the 1S when that came out. And it's a popular unit, man. Like, I know plenty of people that just buy the 1S and they haven't bothered in wanting to upgrade it or anything, because if you don't have a 4K TV, all that kind of shit, you're not going to be getting the full use out of the 1X anyway.
So 1S came out in 2016 and X was in 2017, and then the SAD edition was 2019.
Yeah, but we all know what happened with the SAD edition.
You were with me the day I got my Xbox One S, Chunt.
Yes,
because I was getting rid of the VCR one.
That's right. Yep.
Oh, fond memories.
So, yes, indeed. But look, I think it makes sense. I mean, the 1S is only going to get cheaper over time as far as production goes. And if what they're planning to do with a future topic coming up here with their services and entry points, that makes sense for at least the next couple of years, that the 1S is still a viable unit. So that's cool. Whatever. Clean house, start fresh. I think they just want to clean the slate, start next gen with a good fresh run. And people are already like, oh, does that mean if the 1X is discontinued that the PS4 Pro is now the most powerful console ever because it's still in production? Oh, mate, you're really twisting the conversation there to justify it.
Yeah, that's just idiotic. Although what I do think is going to happen will be that the Xbox One S, that baseline I think it gets a price cut. I think it's like $129 US,
big time,
or $100 if they can do it. If they can make that machine $100 and go, look,
yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
That's like the same price as buying like a smart dongle or something for most of the major providers. That would be fucking insane, to be perfectly honest. And
yeah, what a cheap entry point. Just that and a 3-month Game Pass Ultimate. You're in the door for cheap.
Yeah, for like
Really
$100, it'd be crazy. I can see them doing it.
I know people in my life where they don't have the they don't have the money to buy new consoles for their kids. Like, I think they're still playing like an Xbox 360. I know you just bought one this week, but like that's the console that they play their stuff on. Like, sometimes they don't have the means to do it, and if you have a 1S that is that cheap, 100, 150 American, whatever, that's an option to get their kids or whatever. So
yeah,
hopefully
and,
that's what happens.
Spencer and all that, they got on record saying that don't expect, Series X exclusive titles for the next 2 years at least. So the 1S still has some legs. So it's all positives. Like, yeah, cool, whatever. Sounds like bad news, but it's actually good. It's going to turn into something good anyway with the Series X launch and everything. But
sure.
Yeah, that's a little bit of news. Just want to start off with. Now that we finally got our connection back and everything, ended up being a longer, small topic than it needed to be. So to get into something at least a bit more meaty and a bit more exciting, Ubisoft have their own event. Yay, spectacular. Because everybody needs an event these days. So Ubisoft Forward happened, and we saw a lot of games, all stuff that we kind of already knew, but a few new things as well. What I want to ask straight up, so I know there's one of us here that's more experienced in the Ubisoft titles than the rest of us here, particularly me. I don't really play many Ubisoft games at all. But what are our takeaways? So we saw stuff we already knew, basically. Are you surprised? Did you come away with anything that you didn't already know? And what games are you actually excited about?
And I think that's the problem. The problem is we didn't come away with stuff that we didn't already know about. What we saw was great. Like, Assassins looks good. Watch Dogs Legions looks excellent. Like, really excellent. And yeah, Far Cry, I'm not sure if that was meant to be at this event. I think there's a chance it was maybe meant to be at this next one that they were talking about. But yeah,
Far Cry.
Yeah, I think maybe it wasn't supposed to be at this event. I think they were maybe holding it for the next, because they said that there's another Ubisoft Forward. I mean, that's something they should have told people ahead of time. We should have known that this was not going to be, Ubisoft's one and done. Here's everything that we've got coming out and everything we're working on, which is what it was kind of pitched to be. So yeah, I mean, Watch Dogs Legion looks ridiculous. My only issue there is, as we've kind of discussed amongst ourselves, is, man, it's like October, November getting congested as hell.
Yeah, it really is. So of the main three, because they were really the main things that interested me. I wasn't interested in the battle royale stuff or any of that. So Watch Dogs, it's so weird because everything that they're doing in that game, I am so impressed by, and I kind of just wish it was in another game or something. Like, there's something about like the pitch of not the location, but like just the
loop, the gameplay
feel of it. Like that, that's why I didn't get into Watch Dogs 2, because that feel also just didn't grab me. And yeah, I kind of wish it was employed into another game, but like it's almost sold me. I'm almost there, but I'm not quite. Far Cry, I feel bad for, because it gets leaked like 2 days before the event. So like if that hadn't leaked and they end on that trailer, it would have been really, really cool. But because we were all waiting for it and it was just a trailer in the end, it was it just became anticlimactic. But I mean, technically you could say it's their fault because it got leaked, but that wasn't the initial plan. But that was an awesome trailer. Like, it really was a cool trailer. And for some reason, I'm in this weird position with Valhalla where I'm trying not to watch a lot of it because I want to experience it, but I don't know if I'm getting it yet. So I'm like not watching it because it's 2 days before Cyberpunk, which is just the worst thing I could hear in the world. Like right now, obviously I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima, which is an open world game, which I have to build myself up ready to play an open world game. And then you're telling me that like Assassin's Creed and Cyberpunk are 2 days apart? Like that's just not feasible in my mind. So they've essentially gone to everybody out there and said, pick between us and Cyberpunk. Like we're Ubisoft. We feel like we can compete with Cyberpunk. And I mean, they're very different games. So maybe they're trying to sell it as though it's a different type of game and experience. You can have both type thing, but it literally gives me anxiety thinking about it.
I know what you mean. Like, I think the main issue is a lot of these games have been delayed. Some of them should have been out already. Ubisoft said last year, whatever, they're going to be delaying a lot of their titles. So now they're just like, we need to put stuff out, need to make some money. And unfortunately, they're just kind of throwing it all at the wall and seeing what sticks by the looks. But look, I don't know. I agree with you. That trailer for Far Cry 6 was phenomenal. I was quite hooked on that, and I'd watched the movie. It just looked cool. And it is disappointing to see this stuff leak. But this is what happens when you've got everyone trying to make their own event for months. Everybody wants to have their own day in the sun, and I'm seeing more and more talk online of people saying, man, I wish E3 was still a thing, or I can't wait for E3 to come back. And I've been saying that this whole time. Every time one of these comes out, it's the same thing of like, yep, this watered down, trickle fed process of information. It's just tiring, and it doesn't mean anything anymore. It's just like, all right, cool. It just weakens the message of getting hyped for something, because they always end it with, and we've got more coming. It like, it wasn't good enough to be here today. Why do I care? That's what it feels like. But I don't know. In a positive aspect, Valhalla blew me away. I'm so freaking stoked for that. It looks awesome, and it's kind of looking like what I want from a Vikings type game like this. Like, people are saying, why is this called Assassin's Creed? Because it doesn't look like there's much assassinating happening. But he has a hidden blade, so therefore, but I've already bought it. I got the Steelbook edition ordered, the gold edition of it, whatever it comes with, like the DLC, season pass and shit. I'm signed up for it. I was going to buy it digitally, but that Steelbook, man, I wanted it just as a little, Viking respect. I'm still on the fence about buying the statue and the gauntlet for it. It'll look really good next to my horn mug thing that I've got, like a Viking horn mug thing. And I've got a bunch of that kind of Celtic stuff here. Pretty nice. But anyway, besides all that, look, I don't know what else to take away from this. The Battle Royale stuff, like Jamie kind of touched on, don't really care for it. And I think that's what the feel is online as well. I don't think many people were like, whatever, cool, just another one. It'll come and go. If it doesn't find an audience in the first week, it's gone. But look, my main takeaway after all of that is there's no Skull and Bones, which I know Jamie, that was going to be I'm pretty sure one of his touch points.
Well, yeah, so I sent through that article during the week, basically saying that they've totally done a switch for about how they want that game to operate, taking a lot of taking a lot of inspiration from like Fortnite and doing live events and having a persistent world. Jamie, what are your thoughts
on what? I've not been here for the last 4 minutes.
I know. Now of Skull and Bones.
Yeah, I'm disappointed that it wasn't there. I mean, there was some news that came out kind of after the fact that it's being retooled into a live service. I mean, I expected it to be a live service anyway, just on what we kind of seen so far. So the fact that they're going, no, we're having to retool it to do this kind of thing, great. I think it'll be a better game for it. I know we were talking kind of in our chat about kind of where we see Ubisoft going from here forward, ironically, where we see them going forward. And I think that game's probably next year. If the game world, the assets, everything all exists, and it's just been getting retooled for the last sort of 18 months, I think it could be ready for next year. It'll probably be their flagship thing for next Christmas time. But yeah, it was a bit rubbish not to see it, but we got a little bit of information, so a little bit of information is better than no information.
True. Yeah. Well, that's the only real interesting points that I have from that UB forward. You know, like I don't know what else they're going to show. Like what do we know that? What do we know that's coming that they didn't show? Well, that's the question. You know,
yeah, nothing.
If they have
that was the point I
show.
made when you first started the topic. Was like, we didn't see anything we didn't already know about, and that was kind of my takeaway having watched the event. Chunt, I know you and I were speaking like as it was happening, and I said like, the disappointing thing here is I walk away knowing nothing new. Like I walk away having pretty much wasted an hour of my life to watch 3 trailers I could have watched on YouTube after the fact. So yeah, bit of a, as I said, I think I even closed out last week's podcast and saying, and I bet we'll be let down. Yeah. And I was right. So yeah, I'm happy for you to move on, mate. Considering, you know, technical issues galore. Just had to step away there to deal with, you know, 1-year-old baby. And whilst I was doing that, a nice pop-up came up from Zoom in the middle of the screen going, here's a gift from Zoom. I'm like, what? A pop-up in the middle of a window that I'm recording? Fucking brilliant gift, guys. So Dan just had half of it actually said, it was just like a button that said love it on the top of Dan's head. And for people who regularly do kind of tune in every week and see that, like, this is a shambles. Like, we're all in the wrong place. The guys can't see me, they can't see my screen, like, so they're completely in the blind. You probably didn't even know that I'd left until I texted you and went, I had to move away.
Absolutely.
Oh, I had no idea you left. I just kept rambling.
I knew I could leave you to just keep talking, but I thought I'd better just let you know I'd gone, because like I didn't want you to throw something and then just have dead silence and you'd be like, oh no, is the recording stopped? But yeah,
well, it's lucky because when I threw it to you about Skull and Bones, I was like, been going on a while. I know Jamie would be interested in this. So just like
be there, just tumbleweeds. But no, Skull and Bones, I think we'll see it next year. I mean, all in all, Ubisoft was a bit of a letdown. I mean, I'm enjoying playing their games. Like, I wish I'd played Odyssey sooner, as I alluded to at the start. It's fucking brilliant. But yeah,
and that was the wake-up call I had this week, which I mentioned to you guys. I realized that the last Ubisoft game that I finished, like rolled credits on, was Far Cry 4. Even though I played Far Cry 5, I played Assassin's Creed Odyssey, not Origins, and I played whatever the other Ubisoft one was. Watch Dogs and Watch Dogs 2. I haven't finished any of their games in so long. So I've always thought like, I love Ubisoft games. Like they're great. And then I've realized I haven't finished a game in 6 years.
They're all massive. They're all massive open world games. Who's got time to play all of those? You know?
Yeah.
I wish they would
Jamie.
just bring out. I wish they would just bring out some more focused games. Like a good focused action adventure, 6-8 hours. Like, can we go back to that for a while? I think that's half my problem. Why I don't. No, no, we don't need more knacks. Just better ones. But yeah, I think that's half the reason why I don't really have much affiliation with Ubisoft games in general, because they're all just too big. Like, they don't care.
Yeah, there is too much stuff in a lot of them, and I think I'm noticing that with Odyssey, but I'm having fun doing the stuff that's the bit that you guys don't like, the fact that there is map bloat, but you get distracted by stuff happening in the world and go, what the hell's going on over there, and then go investigate and see, and it takes you off on another quest path. Like, Odyssey's done that bit right, but yeah, they're absolutely phenomenally huge games. Like, so much so to the point they can get boring, and I haven't finished a UB game since the first Watch Dogs, I don't think. So yeah, I'm with you there, Dan. But I think I definitely will finish. I'll finish Odyssey, the main campaign anyway. But yeah, move us along, Chunt.
Yep. Do you know what kind of games you could play if you had a massive open world game and you weren't at home a lot? There's something that's coming out that would give you the option to do that no matter where you are. And that's that xCloud thing that we've all been hearing about for like 30 years. It's finally coming, and it's been bundled into Game Pass. Hold it. Holy shit, man, at no additional cost. So essentially what happened is yesterday, Xbox dropped the bomb saying Project xCloud is coming out in September, being bundled into Game Pass for free, no extra cost to Ultimate subscribers, and essentially just killed Stadia and PS Now in one swoop. So, that's just fantastic, phenomenal news. It's just another consumer-friendly service that Xbox offers. I've got some points here to go through, but just straight up, your initial thoughts on that. Like, what was your initial moment of thought when you found that out?
Fucking insane! Like, it's just huge. I'd say as a visual, like, PlayStation Now is just that body that's been shot with arrows on the beach in the war, and Stadia is like that guy from Saving Private Ryan that got shot in the head before they even landed. Nah, it's just incredible. I don't understand the monetarily how. I know they're Microsoft, so they have all the money, but in terms of like back end with developers, how all this shit works, but the fact that they're going to have xCloud working, it's still going to be, so it won't be like your whole Games Pass library. That's what they're aiming for, but initially it's just like the 100 games or whatever it is that they have at the moment, but it'll be bundled in, so you just get xCloud. You don't have to spend more money on xCloud, even if you have Ultimate at the moment, which is just insane. You got a whole nother service for nothing. And it's, I don't understand how it can be done, but they're doing it, and
but it is.
Jesus Christ.
Jamie, Jesus Christ. Yours.
I mean, I think I always envisioned that it was coming to Ultimate, to be perfectly honest. There's been no announcement of pricing for everybody else. So at the moment, I just pay for Game Pass on PC, which is cheap. So this would cost me an additional service. At which point, it's kind of like you weigh up the options and go, does it make sense to just have Ultimate and have everything all rolled into one? Or is the piecemeal pricing still more convenient to do PC and that? But yeah, I'm super excited for it. Like I said to you, if I can get my Elite controller working with an iPad, like that is game changing, like beyond belief. Because what I've used of it, I was in the test flight program on iOS, and Master Chief Collection was flawless, and playing it on that size screen was a great experience. I think the input delay was far better than it was on PlayStation Now. Way back weeks and weeks ago, when that was my foray into PlayStation stuff and we were talking about it, that was a gripe that I had. It got better with that weird stealth update they did. But yeah, xCloud it's nuked them. Dan's analogies are spot on. I mean, I don't actually think they sent Stadia on the boat. I think Stadia was taken out back in the shop before they got on the boat. But and they just keep making wrong moves, man. Like really, really, really wrong moves. The stuff that they've been doing this last week as well, like it's all just falling on deaf ears and nobody cares about it. It's going to be one of Google's projects that goes the way of the Google Glass.
Well, see, what Google doesn't have is
users,
Xbox
games,
basically, the titles, the infrastructure, the services. Like Google Stadia is relying on everybody else's games, whereas Xbox has their own, right? And they've had their own history of their own library for God knows how long now. So I got lost into that. The titles that you're meant to have access to are the ones that are in the Game Pass library, but the aim is in future is to have access to your entire game library, like your digital library, I would assume only, which is awesome. Like if I want to play maybe Cyberpunk 2077, if I'm still playing that in a year or whatever, I can whip it out in my lunch break at work, and
don't do that. Don't advise that. Whipping it out during your lunch break is reason for dismissal.
What?
Whipping it out in your lunch break is grounds for dismissal.
Oh. Yeah, all right. So I'll keep my dick in my pants then. So if I get my phone out and that's a good call. Thanks for saving me there. Yeah. You know, maybe if I want to play a couple of rounds of, you know, Power Rangers Battle for the Grid or Gears 5 round or something, like just I could play anything I want in my library. And that's the beauty of the Switch, right? And now we're going to potentially have this, depending on how Australia goes with infrastructure and handling it. But anyway, like it's going to be available on most Android devices. Phil Spencer's saying they're still talking with Apple on sorting that side of the things out. I just think if this works as they intended to, man, there's just no better service. Like if you don't have Game Pass Ultimate, I can understand that maybe it's like, oh, well, I do have to pay for it. Yeah, whatever. But I think they'll be probably incentivizing a lot here to get people on the Ultimate thing. Even if they maybe, I don't know, rework that whole subscription service and call it something else, or they already canceled the 12-month top up for Xbox Live Gold. They're canceling that. So it's only going to be month or 3-month subscriptions only that you can renew or re-up. So they're already kind of changing that. So I think they're finding that there's more value in just going straight into Ultimate rather than having separate subscriptions. And I did that. When they announced Game Pass Ultimate, I rolled in both of my subscriptions for Gold and Game Pass for $1. You know, and they combined the two, and and just been paying that. It's like $15 a month or whatever ever since, and it's cheaper than paying both. Like it works out anyway. So now I get, and because I'm building a PC, I get Game Pass for PC as well. So I get all my services on Xbox, the services on PC, and now I get the xCloud as well, and all the discounts and bonuses and all that kind of shit all over the place for one subscription fee at no extra cost. Like there's no better deal, man. You can't get the same kind of shit anywhere else. Like it's just.
Yeah. I'm going to be interested to see what they do with it though, Chunt, in terms of the consoles. Like, do they wrap? And we obviously saw them do this with Series X. Like they piloted this program where you could buy a machine on as a credit agreement, and you got Game Pass Ultimate, and you were paying for that at the same time. I really do see a Lockhart machine, especially with Game Pass Ultimate, and you pay $30 a month. You know what I mean? $30 a month, you get the Lockhart, you get all of your services, and you don't have any outlay for the console, you know, day one. I do think that's going to be something they've got up their sleeve.
Well, Telstra here are already doing it. Telstra, you can go through their all access program for Xbox, and you can just add like $10-15 or whatever it is to your monthly bill, and you can get a 1S, whatever they're offering. So that's already a thing out the bag. But yeah, like whether they're going to bundle that in with an Ultimate subscription as well. But I actually had an email from Telstra support like asking if I was interested in like a pilot program of testing out some service that they've got coming out soon, and it's in relation to next gen consoles. So I think they're testing the waters there, because I had to do a survey and answer some questions and shit. So I'm interested to see what comes of that, like if I get invited to some kind of program, because they asked me all my internet details as far as, you know, how my connection is, how many people are here, do I use Xbox Live, all this kind of shit. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. But man, it's just one of those things where that announcement alone has just solidified for me that Xbox has become like the #1 platform for everything you need. Like there's more bang for buck there that you can get from anyone else. There's almost no denying it now, right? Like besides the exclusive games that you love on whatever box that you're playing on, the facts are just there. The offerings you get are just immense that you can't get anywhere else. You know, and that means a lot to, you know, it's going to mean a lot to people that can't afford to be upgrading every generation or immediately. Like my brother, he's interested. He's like, I don't know what console I'm going to go with at the moment. And he's hearing all this news and he's like, oh, this is really tempting me to just kind of buy like a secondhand One S or buy the smaller Lockhart console, whatever, and just go in on Game Pass, and just that'll do me. You can get all the exclusive Xbox games there, and so it's already kind of working, the messaging, and it's pretty insane, man. Like, as an Xbox fan, I don't know if you've noticed, there's some branding behind me from Xbox logos. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but I'm just going to point that out now. I'm on that team. So I'm obviously excited about all this news. Yeah, only positives, man. Only positives. Indeed. So I think we've kind of done on that topic. I could rant on about that all day, but there's more Xbox stuff that we can rant on about, and it's going to be a bit more soft and fluffy to end on the podcast with. And there's an event in July, next Friday.
That's not going to make you soft.
What?
You're not going to get soft about the event next week. You're going to get hard.
Effect.
Oh my God, you have no idea. I'm the kind of guy that used my at work. They were offering a free pandemic leave day as a thank you to putting up with all the shit. So I immediately put in my pandemic leave as soon as they announced the date of this event next Friday. Like, I'm taking it, whatever, 3-day weekend, ahoy. So I'll be up at 2 a.m. on a Friday morning watching this shit. So July predictions for Xbox. It's like a solid hour's worth, no hardware, no console talk, no pricing talk, no services talk. It's just all games. Said by Aaron Greenberg himself. What are we looking forward to? What are our predictions? I have some, but we'll go around the table. It says Dan under me, but I'm going to call you Chunt. Chunt, go ahead. What are your predictions?
Yes, Chunt. So I've been thinking, because I've been thinking about the studios that they bought. I've been thinking about like the initiative the initiative. I can't even guess what they're going to do because it's a totally new studio. Everything that you read about that studio, it even mentions like they're setting themselves up as like a Santa Monica Studios for Sony. So it makes you think first person single player, and God, I'm so hoping that that's what they're doing. If it turns into a live game or whatever, it'll really hurt me. So there's 15 Microsoft studios, and if you've got an hour to talk about that, that's what, 4 minutes. That's 4 minutes of studio. But I don't think everyone will necessarily be there. They might be alluded to, but I don't think they're not gonna do a Marvel Studios thing and be like, here's what every one of our studios are working on, and here's our slate. I mean, that would be really cool to see because we don't normally see that in games. But there's also Microsoft were shit on a lot for games falling under. What was the Japanese one? Scalebound. Games like Scalebound that people are like, well, that didn't work out, and I don't think they want to announce games way too early. I think they want to try and keep it as close as they can. So as one of my predictions, and I didn't come up with this, I heard this during the week though, but I think Banjo-Kazooie could be a really good, with all the platformers that are coming out and the mascots and everything, the fact that you have Rare and people working on this Banjo game probably wouldn't be the same people that made the Banjo games back in the early 2000s, so, or late 90s, I can't remember, but yeah, so I think that's really cool. I think Double Fine you'll see a Double Fine game in the next 6 months because they tend to make really small games. I'm interested to see if Undead Labs do something other than State of Decay now. Like they did State of Decay 1 and 2, and then they were bought. Are they going to be the State of Decay studio, or are they going to try something different, something else, kind of like how Ninja Theory are making Hellblade still, but they're working on other projects at the same time. Like, are they doing the same with Undead Labs, where they're like, all right, we're going to give you more people, and you can still make maybe State of Decay 3 or something, but you can have a separate team working on something else. And then my only question is, I think early on it was shown off as this is going to be Microsoft's, first party event, which I still think it is. But I'm very curious to see one. It seems like with Far Cry and Assassin's Creed, Ubisoft are doing a marketing deal with Microsoft, as is Cyberpunk, which is coming out extremely close to the launch. Whether we see anything from those teams, and I think I don't know. Actually, I don't want to mention the other one because I think that might be part of Jamie's. So yeah, that's what I'm interested to see. As I said to you guys during the week, I just need 3 games that are like, I'm sold, and then that's it. You only need 3 games for me. I'm not a picky person. 3 games.
That's good. Healthy 3 to start the new generation. A good rule to have. So, Jamie, we're heading to you now. What are your predictions?
Gonna have to keep mine short and sweet. So yeah, you were about to steal this whole Cyberpunk thing, Dan, but I think we see Cyberpunk that'll show up. I think that, as we spoke about earlier in the week, I think we actually see Destiny, not as a first party studio, but as a marketing deal, as something that is enhanced for Series X and maybe even running on it. All of the Destiny branding at the moment seems to have the Xbox logo before it now, which is new to see.
Yeah.
But then getting into like what the actual studios are doing, we've spoke about at length that I think Fable has to be happening, right? I think we spoke about this on maybe 3 or 4 podcasts. Fable should happen, should be Playground doing it. And I think that game's further along than both of you think it is. I think there's a very, very good shout we're getting that in the next 6 months. It'd be remiss of them to put it out day and date, because you want Halo to kind of own that space, I think. I did also hear of Forza maybe not coming this year and being a next year kind of thing, which interests me a little bit, because as the guys over at IGN obviously alluded to this week, I don't know if either of you had heard, but why would they be hyping Dirt so much as a Series X enhanced title if Forza was ready?
Oh, that's a good point.
So perhaps the Forza studio take a year off for the first time in a long while, and maybe the Horizon team have been helping out on Fable. Like you don't know what's going on in that kind of environment, so that'll be interesting to watch and see what comes out of it. I think elsewhere across the board, we all kind of agree. I'm assuming that Ninja Theory have to be working on something other than this really bad looking game that they're demoing around at the moment, this kind of little thing. And I think we do see some more footage of Rare's new game, which the name eludes me for the life of me. I can't think of what it's called.
Oh yeah, that.
I can't remember what the name of it is, but it looks like quite an interesting one. But I'll leave my predictions there and leave some for you, Chunt.
Yep, right. So I have a couple just personal predictions and a couple that I think are actually going to happen. So first off, I think Crimson Skies 2. I think they're going to pull that out of the ether. Crimson Skies is a fan favorite way back on the original Xbox as like a dogfighter, like arcadey kind of playing, dogfighting game, set in like a classical steampunk kind of 1930s looking world. There's like blimps and biplanes for fun. The multiplayer was so good, and we used to play a lot of that. And it was a pretty good seller on the original Xbox, and there have been a lot of fans asking for it. And it was one of the backwards compatibility games, one of the first ones for the original Xbox that they brought back. So I think there's something there. I think they could bring that back. That's one of my personal ones. I hope that they bring back. One that I'm pretty sure if Phil Spencer had his way, he'd bring back Mech Assault. That was a Xbox exclusive back in the day as well on the original console, and it's one of his favorites as he loves it. And I think there's some rights issues that he mentioned in a podcast I heard, that's the only reason that it hasn't come back. And he said if he had a personal one to bring back, that would be on top of his list. And I'd like to see that happen. I mean, a Mech Assault game, I mean, there's not a lot of mech games these days, and there are niche fans for that kind of genre of game, and it could just be a need to be fulfilled. There's two. Killer Instinct 2. I think that's going to be coming back. It's a massive game, and it's still played. Like the original 2013 remake or reboot of the franchise. The fact that game got made, there was a documentary that it's on YouTube about the making of that game, and it's so interesting on everything behind the scenes that they tell you in that documentary. That just fascinates me to the point where it's amazing that game even got made and was supported for the years after, considering what happened in that studio. And it's such a big name. It's such a big IP. It was going to be at Evo this year before it all got cancelled for the first time since, the first 3 years of that game's life. It was coming back. And that was a launch title for the One X. God, it was a launch title for the Xbox One back in 2013, and I loved it. It blew me away in all kinds of ways. So I would love to see a Killer Instinct 2 on like Unreal Engine 5 or something. Like, I can't believe you own the Killer Instinct IP and you haven't done anything with it. Like, it just boggles me. Besides that, another one I know that's never going to happen, but I want it to happen, and I'll continue to say it every year until it does, is Blinks the Time Sweeper remake. I want that so bad. If bloody, what's his name? If Tim Geddes can get his remake of Crash Bandicoot, I sure as shit want my remake of Blinks the Time Sweeper, right? I'm just putting it out there. And Spyro has come back. All those mascots, they're all happening. Whoever owns Croc and the Land of the Gobbos, whatever that, they've come out saying that they really want to remake that. So it's all there. All the mascots are coming back, and get the knack taste out of everybody's mouth. But yeah, I think those are the main ones I want to see happen. Just some real deep cuts, but nothing obvious. Like, I'm trying to think of things that aren't obvious that might not happen, but I'll be immensely surprised if they do. And they did tweet earlier this morning or last night while I was asleep about talking about the Japanese presence and wanting to build the bridge back with the Japanese industry again. And that's an oddly timed tweet to be making a week out from this event. So it just makes me think maybe Lost Odyssey 2 might be happening, or something with that Mistwalker studio that did those two exclusive JRPGs, the Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey on the 360. I'd love to see something like that happen, just a big bomb drop like that. So yeah, some deep cuts, but those are my predictions. Yes, done. I don't know if Jamie's there. I can't see.
No one can see. The only thing I'll say is, like, I'm of two minds with it all, because with the games that Microsoft make at the moment, for me, is like, I don't like. I'm very much like single player, third person action. That's my type of game, and just single player story, like Ghosts, God of War, Uncharted. There's no online features basically at all. And I'm in two minds whether I want Xbox to make those games as well, or Xbox to make different stuff that still, maybe it has an online component, maybe it doesn't, but like maybe something else to draw me in, and that might make me more excited. I don't know, but I want I hope they take some risks, and they've bought studios that tend to make weird and like Hellblade, right? It's it's a third person action game, but like that was really risky for them to do. They self-published it. A lot of people say, oh, you know, it was a PlayStation exclusive and blah blah blah, which it was, but it wasn't Sony giving them money to be an exclusive. It was just they self-published it. They didn't want to take money from anyone else, and they put it on the biggest platforms that they could and that they could afford to do. So they did it PC, they did it PS4, and then when they sold, and they sold ridiculous amounts and like made 4 times their budget, then they were like, all right, now we can port it to Xbox. But it takes a real risk to be able to do that, and I hope they let the studios be like, let's do some crazy shit. And and that's what I'm more excited to see. Like it's fun to speculate about, you know, wouldn't it be cool if Crimson Skies came back and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which there will be a little bit of that, I think. But it's the new stuff. I'm really excited to see what the new stuff is and how Microsoft see themselves going forward with their studios and what they want to put out there.
Yeah, I can add to that. So Matt Booty had an interview recently within this week. Don't know the exact day, but he was interviewed about all that kind of stuff and how they treat their studios. And basically, the long and short of it was saying that all the Xbox game studios teams, they just kind of put their hands off the whole creation process. Like they let them do their thing. They let them make or create the pitch, you know, all that kind of stuff. They formulate the concept, and they're all very hands off with that. And then once they're actually ready to go, they bring it to the feedback stage, and that's when like Microsoft will come in and give them feedback and suggestions and whatnot. So for the most part, all these studios are going to be making whatever they want. And once they put it forward to go, all right, this is what we have, this is what we want to do, and then Microsoft is like, all right, let's put the whole, you know, Xbox thing on it now. You know, let's make it an Xbox game, and the feedback starts coming back and forth. So I found that very interesting and reassuring that they're not involved at all in the whole creativity process of what these studios are doing. But they're not going to their studios and going, you need to make this kind of game, you need to make this kind of game. Like that's not what's happening from what that conversation was. So I don't know if that, you know, answers that thought that you were having about what kind of games they're making or taking risks. It sounds like they will be able to. And
because they're shopping for games as opposed to making studios build certain things.
Yes. Yeah. And like Double Fine. I can't remember his name at the moment, but he put out a quote saying that we're now able to pitch games straight to gamepass that no publisher would have ever, you know, let us do anyway. So that alone just opened the door for them to kind of put out that more creative, risky games that they're known for doing. So all this is positives. Like we wanted to talk about positives in this train wreck of an episode, and there's a lot here to be positive about and look forward to. So Dan, I think you're going to find something that you will like, and I think long-time Xbox platform supporters or whatever are going to definitely find something. And like Jamie being PC based, and pretty sure he's going to be going on a Series X, he's going to find something as well. So I think we're all covered.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Cool. Right. Well, we did make it through.
Right. Barely.
Yeah.
If you could have seen some of the stuff that's been going on this end, guys, while you've been talking away.
Yeah. That's all good.
I've been running in and out of 2 different rooms. The transitions have been lagging. This is the worst produced podcast that we've done in 19 episodes. I promise you episode 20 will be better.
Oh, look, this is real life, man. You know, everybody's dealing with their own thing. I'm sure people will be accepting and relating. But I've just been happy to talk to you guys this morning. You know, I don't really care about the technical side of it as much. It's just a good excuse to, you know, talk to good folk first thing in the morning and talk about some game stuff. So a lot of things to look forward to. Episode 20 next week. And I think Dan, it's your time, isn't it? It's your turn next week.
I am hosting the Xbox Showcase podcast.
I know. What the
exciting.
hell? Like,
That's exciting.
That just didn't work out. It should be me, damn it.
We might do what we did with the last one and give it, depending on what we see and how much we see, break it out into two episodes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And let Chump navigate that, and you can navigate the other one. But
I'll put my big boy pants on for that one.
I might even let you host that topic at least, Chunt.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for letting me do that. I appreciate it.
No, sorry, Dan.
Oh, Dan. Yeah, get it straight, man. Gee whiz. Be Dan until next week.
Yes.
Right. So next week, join us for the Xbox July event discussions. That's what it's going to be. And then for our July thoughts and reactions. And until then, look after yourselves, everybody. Life is too short. Enjoy yourselves and your family. Love like there's no tomorrow. And we'll catch you next time.
Wash your hands.